Hey sis, happy Monday. Happy Monday. It's Monday evening at this point, but I've been trying to come to y'all all day, but it just was never the right time. I still have three kids in the house, and this morning we went to the water park just to get them out the house and get some of that energy out. So anyway, dinner time now, so I have a little bit of time. I wanted to come on and share. First of all, hi, how are you? I'm doing wonderful. I'm feeling so much better. A couple of things have happened since the last time I recorded. I think I put out a couple of videos, but they were all pre-recorded, so I actually haven't sat down to talk to y'all in a minute. But a couple things. The first thing is hopefully this is the last time. I feel like I keep talking about this every time I talk to y'all, but I had my little moment over the past couple weeks and I learned from it, and I am feeling much more like myself. I am still constantly under attack. I'll tell you about that in a little bit. But I'm feeling much better. The point in all of that was at the end of that process, not only did I share with you all, but the Holy Spirit encouraged me to share my testimony and a praise report to my church. And there's a process for submitting a praise report, which I did, but wires got crossed, and for some reason it didn't get included in the actual like praise or the prayer newsletter that goes out every week, and instead it was sent out as a standalone email to the entire church. Now, the newsletter also goes out to the entire church, but it's kind of like, you can open it if you want to open it, and you peruse at your own leisure. But a separate standalone email was a lot. I was not expecting that, and I just laughed because God, like I'm struggling so much with I struggle and I have always struggled with being the visible representation, being the center of it. I know as much if you ask my family, you ask my friends, they probably always think, "Oh, she was always in the center. She's always talking. She always does something. It makes sense that she's the highlight." And I am so uncomfortable by that. I cannot stress it enough. I believe that my father placed me here to be not necessarily the center of attention, but definitely to take center stage for certain things. But it's such an uncomfortable moment for me, and I'm trying to get over that. And so I laugh because I'm like, of course, God would have my little letter that I wanted buried in a newsletter to go out to everyone in the church at this own standalone email. It's just funny to me. Of course, that's what He pushed me to do. But anyway, that happened. It was a really great response. A lot of people kind of came up to me and just shared how thankful they were that I shared that. And a couple of people who were actually mentioned in there came up and just was like, wow, like I never knew that, my little just regular talk with you had made such an impact. And so I believe that many people were blessed by it, whether they told me or not. And so I'm grateful for that. And for that, I will deal with the uncomfortable feeling of being outed almost. So that's that. That's that. The second thing is, y'all, I have some pretty big plans over the next couple weeks. Really, August. August is a month of like, if all goes well, all goes to plan. If I get my stuff together, August is gonna be amazing. And with all of that has come, I'm realizing all of this. I don't want to just call it attack because I do know that some of this has been testing, but all of this that I have been feeling, all of this I've been struggling with, and it constantly is happening. If the last couple weeks was emotional and spiritual attack, this time right now is like physical. Like I am exhausted. I have a migraine. I have like some stress pain that happens to me every now and then. I had like issue with my knee the other day, my foot, like every little thing physically that could possibly happen has been happening to me, and I've just been able to laugh and be like, we're gonna push through, we're gonna get this done. And so and it makes me more excited because I know that in these moments of whether it's I'm being tested or whether well, it's all a test, but as I am being I don't want to say tormented, but tormented a little bit. I know that on the other side of that is going to be amazing things. And if it is the enemy trying to distract me and trying to get towards me, um, I know that means that I'm about to do something great. And while that is amazing, exciting, it's also a little bit, little scary, a little scary, a little scary. It's scary, not that like I'm scared of what's going to happen, but scared of messing it up. I'm scared of messing it up, y'all. Like I'm scared of messing it up. I am afraid that I'm going to do something wrong. I'm afraid I'm not going to position myself properly. I'm not afraid at what God can do, but I'm afraid that I won't show up in the way that He needs me to show up in order to use me as the vessel. And there are a couple of things in which I feel like I'm so behind. Like, if I want this to happen on this date, I should have done it last week or 2 months ago, whatever it is, and I haven't gotten it done. And I know that the past couple weeks of distraction and like emotional stress has definitely put me in the not the most optimal position. Not to say it can't get done. I know that by relying on His strength and asking Him for help and guidance, I'll get it done. But at the same time, I know it was a little bit of a setback the last couple weeks. So I'm just nervous about, what if I messed up? What if I took too long? What if it's too late for some things that were supposed to happen? And I'm trying not to let that seep into my mind and change my perspective. I'm going to push forward, and I'm not going to let my mind lie to me and tell me how terrible I am and how bad of a job I'm doing and how it's never going to happen. All of those things that are constantly kind of like being pushed into my brain, I'm going to push past them and ignore them and stand in the strength of my Father. But I just, in a moment of vulnerability, wanted to share that with y'all. I'm a little afraid of what happens if I fail. And again, I know it's kind of counterintuitive to say that when I say at the same time I trust in God. I just had this conversation about another topic, but how can we say I trust in God, but also have these other feelings? And it's in my mind, the way that I want to make sense of that is, it's not that I don't trust that God can do these things for me. It's that I don't trust myself enough to do what God needs of me in order for Him to do those things, right? If I'm not doing the bare minimum of what He has expected of me, He's not going to reward me, right? He's not going to um, sign off on my assignments. He's not going to push me forward. He's not going to bring me my destiny helpers. All those things may not happen if I'm not being obedient. And so for me, it's just a fear of my own self. It's a fear of um all the things that I know I should be doing or think I should be doing, or I'm not sure about what I should be doing, happening or not happening. That's the fear. And so for me, I kind of feel like it's not a sin to say that I fear, because I'm not fearing God, I'm fearing me. But at the same time, it is because God did not give me a spirit of fear, and He told me what to do. And I said yes. So I just need to do it. So it's kind of two sides of the coin, but I'm just, again, being completely honest with you all. That is definitely something that is on my mind, and I am continuing to push forward, and try to push past it, and not just push. When I say push forward, I don't want to discount that. I'm not just like, I don't want to make it feel like I'm just throwing those thoughts in the garbage and it's very easy. It's not. By push past it is relying on the word. I just slammed my hand on my Bible, but relying on His word is showing up in all of the spaces that lift me up. It is being the person that I know that He wants to be. It's going back and reading some of the things that I've written. I've been obviously editing my book, and going back and rereading some of those things that I wrote in different seasons of my life has been so. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is gonna bless. I don't care, man. You know what? I pray it's gonna bless y'all, but it's blessing me already. So even if nobody ever looks at this book, like, I know it's something that I will return to. It's amazing. It's amazing to see how He has worked with me in the past and how those things are helping me out right now. So when I say push past those feelings and push past those thoughts, again, I don't mean to oversimplify it or make it seem like it's an easy thing to do, or that I'm just saying, hey brain, stop, and it's just everything's going away. It's not. It's definitely work to push past it, but at the end of every single day, and every time I find myself falling down that rabbit hole, I have to speak good words onto my life, onto myself, onto my thoughts, onto my spirit. And I'm thankful for all of the people in my life who are doing the same for me. So that is that. Those are the kind of two updates I want to have. One more thing to share, but my phone is dying. So I'm going to see if I can find a charger and then come back. If not, I'll just share it tomorrow. So let's see what happens next. Hold on, y'all. All right, guys, I found a charger, but it's in a very weird position, so I have to hold it. Hold on. Glasses. Okay, so the last thing that I wanted to share is a message that we received yesterday in our service, and it was very timely, but also I'm smiling because I've been using it. I have used it probably about 30 different times since I heard the message yesterday on Sunday. So we were reading from Luke chapter 10, when Jesus dispersed the 72 to go out and spread the gospel. And our pastor left us with three principles or three steps, right? As disciples in our own right. How do we engage with the world? Um, yeah, I'll say that, right? Like kind of three different ways, three steps to properly engaging with the world. And keeping in mind that the goal of our engagement with the world is always to bring them to our side, right? But I think his point was that sometimes some of us get a little overeager, we get a little overzealous, and we jump right into sharing the gospel and getting them to change their behavior and getting them to come to Bible study and do all of the things that we know are fulfilling and needed and necessary as Christians. But sometimes we jump the gun a little bit. And so he gave us these three principles, and I'm going to try to get them right. The first one is to lead with peace, right? So, um, in the scripture, Jesus is telling the disciples that, if you enter a village, you enter a town, you always come in with peace, right? You come in with a good heart. You come in, no matter what's going on there, no matter what you see there that you know is wrong, you always come in with a good nature, right? You come in peacefully. You don't come in, guns drawn, ready to just point out all of the terrible things that are happening and why your way is right and their way is wrong. We don't do that. We lead with peace, right? The second one is to meet their needs. So, the second principle, like I said, is to meet their needs. And this is this idea that when we encounter people, again, the first thing that we do cannot just be to evangelize and to tell them all the great things about Christ. Like we should absolutely do that. But if a man is hungry, he's not listening, right? He's not listening to the message. He's not necessarily going to capture all that you are trying to share with him. And so it's important to us that we meet the needs of the people that we are encountering, that we are very first and foremost serving, right? So we're leading with peace. Our attitude is one way when we walk into the space, but also we're there to serve. And then the last piece is finally to share the gospel, right? We cannot leave our engagements or our encounters or our relationships without sharing the gospel. We can't just do two things. We can't start with the gospel first. We can't rearrange our order. We have to be in order. But those three principles of leading with peace, meeting their needs, and then sharing the gospel, you can take it literally, right, as to like actual making other disciples. But I think it can also just be good principles to follow as to being a good person, right? I say this all the time. The thing that brought me here was not necessarily hearing about salvation, and I didn't understand it. I didn't understand. Hold on, y'all. Okay. I didn't understand enough about what salvation was, why it was important, to have that be the thing that made me jump into belief and made me decide I'm going to learn more about who God is and what I need to do in order to follow Jesus. I didn't know that. I just didn't know enough. And even though I was in church for many years before I would say that I really fully committed my life, um, I salvation just it wasn't the hard thing. It was very easy for me to just backslide and not take things seriously because it was like, oh, okay, salvation. Yeah, I got years to die, right? Like I got years to get it right. Um and so for me, it was love. It was me. It was finding out that God is love and knowing that that was a missing piece in my life and knowing that God could fulfill it. That drove me, that connected with me. And had someone just came to me and just started off with, be saved so that you can live forever, which is kind of the message I've heard my whole life. Yeah, I kind of got into the church, but it wasn't a heart matter. It didn't transform me. It wasn't until I found um my needs being met, right? Like have struggled with love my entire life. I know y'all sick of hearing me say this, but I've struggled with it. I've struggled with finding people who could love me unconditionally. And finally I figured out that man cannot do that. Only God can. And he has shown me what unconditional love means. And I'm a believer, right? I am now a believer. I am here. I am committed. All of those things, but my needs were met. And so I was able to listen, right? That was when I was able to listen and learn and understand what it means to be a follower of Jesus Christ. And so I wanted to share that because, like I said, I think it's going to be helpful if you're like me and you are evangelist, or if you are trying to figure out how to talk to people about God or how to get them to come to church. wanted to share those three principles because I think that they're important, but also just as life principles, just in general, how to be a good person, right? I talk about that all the time, just being good. Um, and being good can look very differently to many different people. But I think if we always just leave with peace in conversation, in confrontation, these are the things that allow us to forgive. These are the things that allow us to pray for our enemies. All of that, right? Lead with peace. Just start off. Just start off. Just start off just start off with good in your heart, with a good intention, right? Not coming in trying to be judgmental, not coming in necessarily trying to condemn. And I'm not saying that we have no right to share what we know is right and wrong. I'm not saying that we have no right to call out something that we know is right and wrong. We definitely need to do that. We cannot just sit by and allow people to do bad things and not speak up. That's not what I'm saying at all. But when we enter these new relationships or even old relationships, we have to lead with peace. Okay. And our peace might just be, hey, I see what you're doing and I'm praying for you. Hey, I see what you're doing. Let's go and take a look at what, other options we have. Right. Or just constantly keeping in prayer for, people who we know are in the world and are turning their backs towards Christ. Whatever that could look like for you. Leading with peace does not mean being walked all over. Leading with peace does not mean ignoring situations that we know are terrible. Leading with peace does not mean being abused. Right. I'm pretty sure we could do a whole deep dive into how we can lead with peace. But I think that those principles are enough, at least enough to pray on and really think about and ask the Holy Spirit to illuminate for you how you can do those things. And I think, again, the second takeaway from this is that order. You have to start with peace. You have to. You have to start with peace. If we enter these relationships or these conversations, on 10, right? Ready to just be defensive, ready to be on the offense, ready to, bring people down. It's never going to go anywhere. It's not going to go anywhere. If you start with that type of attitude and think you're going to get to spreading the gospel and like have a positive interaction, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not. It's not. And so in that in please go read Luke 10. But in that section of scripture, Jesus also says that there are going to be some people who are not going to want to listen. And he says, listen, you stay in that house, you eat whatever they offer you, and when it's time for you to go, right? Everybody's not going to want to listen. We're not going to be able to save everyone. And I love to think about this. I was sharing with someone else who was kind of getting a little bit frustrated with some of the work that they've been doing. And I was like, it's important to understand that we're not always going to see the fruits. We're not always going to see the harvest, right? Sometimes we are just laying the seed. Sometimes we're just watering the seed or placing the sunlight on the seed. Maybe someone else is going to see how the seed blossoms. And so we have to keep that in mind as well. We may not see someone's full evolution. We may not see someone's full transformation, but be obedient, do the little or the lot that God is telling you to do in that person's life. And if it's time to move on, it's time to move on, right? We may not, like I said, always get a chance to see how our work will ultimately lead to an ending. And some people are just going to be stubborn and they just may never see the light. And we're going to keep them in prayer. We're going to still follow, right? We're gonna lead with peace, meet their needs, share the gospel, and we're going to take it from there. And in all things, we're going to keep God first and keep them in prayer. All right. So I think I've talked at y'all a lot. I'm holding this charger weirdly, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. But I pray that you're having a wonderful day. I hope that you are in a good place. And if you're not, please, please, please comment down below. Let me know how I can pray for you. Continue to keep me in your prayers. Keep our sisters in prayers. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, y'all.